A lot has happened since my last video about the copyright strike against my channel. Will I be facing a 7-day YouTube suspension and ban? Who exactly was behind the copyright claim? Was the entire thing coming from a fraud account that had nothing to do with Elevation Church and Stephen Furtick? Or was the copyright claim from Stephen Furtick and Elevation Church themselves? We're gonna talk about that today, and the answer may surprise you.
Ruslan.
What happened, where we are currently, and how this is going. If you watch till the end of the video, I'll tell you, and it honestly blew my mind. So quick backstory, reacted to some stuff from Elevation, the sermon reaction to Matt Chandler preaching at the Code Orange Revival was the one that actually got me a takedown notice. Now, the weird way that YouTube works, you're basically guilty until proven innocent. And this is what I mean. Somebody says, hey, this is my video, right? And we want you to take it down, to split the monetization, whatever. Usually it's like, we want you to take it down. There's been folks that have just ripped my videos and re-uploaded them. And I didn't really like that because I'm like, yo, this is either limited. I want them to go watch the full video. So we've had to send people copyright notices. Zach actually really likes doing it. But it never escalates to the point where, hey, you're going to get a strike. What happens is you send a notice. So they sent me a notice. We said, no, this is fair use. The copyright holder looks at it and goes, no, it wasn't fair use. And so they go, it's not fair use. Take it down in 7 days or you're gonna get a copyright strike. And then the only way I can fight this types of situation, this layout, and again, I'm gonna tell you guys how this went in a second, is if I let the strike happen to my account, get a 7-day suspension, basically go to YouTube jail, and then I can file a counter notification which goes, you need to prove that you're going to take me to court within 10 business days. And if you don't, then the whole thing gets lifted. Now, I wasn't excited about that. I didn't want to go to court. And I wasn't even sure if this was from Elevation Church. It was from a company called AdRev ENT. And when I Googled them, all kinds of wild claims came up that they do all kinds of wild stuff. So I was like, man, this may not even be Elevation, right? And then the more like I talked about it and people reached out to me and I found out the Colin Miller situation and I looked into that and apparently his was directly from Elevation Church with the takedown notice and he fought it and he won. I'm like, well, maybe that's what will happen. I wasn't sure. I spoke to some bigger YouTubers that had my back that were like, bro, you have to fight this. There were some folks that even had legal access to attorneys and people who are practicing law that gave me some input on this whole thing. And either way, I'm like, gosh, I would hate to have to go to court, man. And so what happened was very interesting. This morning, I was in my prayer group. I do this virtual prayer group over Zoom every Monday morning with Christian authors, business people, other YouTubers. It's a really amazing group. We keep the identities private, but let's just say it's been one of the most impactful things in my life. And I brought this up and I shared this and I'm like, this is weird. I'm in this weird in-between place where my channel is not big enough for me to have a YouTube partner manager, but I'm also kind of big enough to have a target on my back if I do something. And if this is really Elevation, then they can come after me and they got resources if they really wanted to do that. And so I said, my prayer request is that we would get this resolved, okay? And this is a testament to how good God is. Last night, I was researching these things and YouTube even told me, hey, like, we can't help you. Our hands are tied. What you can do is try to reach out to the AdRev ENT, and they gave me their contact. Now, I'm not going to show you guys the emails because technically I had like one of those confidentiality bars, but I said, you know what? I'm going to play the humble. I got the email. I said, hey, guys, I think there's a misunderstanding here. I'm sorry for the confusion. I reacted to this thing from a couple years ago. I don't even know if this is from Furtick or not, but can you please lift the copyright? So now I'm going to this company and I'm sending an email to them. And to my surprise, they got back to me. You know, initially the auto response was like, we're on Christmas break. And I was like, uh-oh, Christmas break in March? That's weird. But then they got back to me. Somebody got back to me and they were like, look, you used more than 5 minutes of footage and Stephen Furtick and Elevation Church doesn't like when that happens. So we're going to ask that you take it down. And I said, okay, well, this confirms that this is actually Stephen Furtick and Elevation Church. So I got that confirmation. So I'm in my prayer group right after this initial email goes back, and I say, hey, like, can you guys pray for this? I really don't want to deal with the headache of it. I don't want to worry about going to court. I don't want the 10 days hanging over me. I don't want to have to miss out on 7 days of uploading and live streaming, right? So I know for a fact that it was Elevation, but check out what happens next. This is crazy. So I reply back again. I said, hey, listen, take a look at the video. I've already done 2 edits. If you look at the video, the sermon actually, my video reaction was actually not to Stephen Furtick. He's only in the intro of it for a couple of minutes. I've used a YouTube editor to chop it down multiple times. I can't even chop it down anymore. I would love to remove some of it, but I can't because I ran out of edits in a YouTube editor. There's a whole YouTube editor with edits and all the things. So I clipped out as much as I could, and I was like, look, this isn't even reacting to Stephen Furtick. He's just in the beginning. This is actually reacting to Matt Chandler. You know, I understand Furtick owns the copyright, but can you please consider removing the copyright claim? And I'm not joking. We prayed at about 7:30 a.m. this morning in my prayer group. 8:30 a.m., I'm at the gym, and I get a reply back from Adrev, who represents Stephen Furtick, the Elevation Church, and says, hey, you know, I looked at the video. I see you only used about 1/3 of the sermon. We're going to drop the claim, and you're good to go. How good is God, ladies and gentlemen? Zach wanted to go to war. Sorry, bud.
I feel like I'm in war. I'm like super prepared. I have all my armor on. My guns are loaded, and they're like, hey, let's turn it around. And I'm like, oh man. I was like, so do we still make a bunch of crazy videos about it? Or Ruslan's like, no.
Zach went and found attorneys that he wanted to reach out to. He read every single letter of the copyright law.
I got a loan for a $3,000 suit, so I look fine in the courtroom. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. But
so I say all that to say, whoever at Adrev looked at it, they saw that it was fair use. They saw that it wasn't directly about Furtick. It was about the situation, and they decided to lift the claim, which means a couple things. One, it means that all the monetization from the video was in escrow. It goes back to this channel. 2, it means that they, I guess, agree that it was fair use. They did warn me and say, just be careful moving forward, because if you use more than 5 minutes, like, it may happen. It may open you up to some more claims. But as of right now, the claim is completely gone. I am not facing a strike. Everything is copacetic. And the timing of it, and I replied back to my prayer group. We got this big group text, and I said, man, sometimes God takes this, or his timing to answer prayers. Other times it's instantaneous and it happens immediately. And this was one of those times where we prayed by 7:30, and by 8:30 a.m. I had the email. Boom, we lifted the takedown notice. Don't worry about it. Just, tread lightly moving forward. And we're now in good standing with YouTube. As of right now, we are all good. So thank you to everybody that prayed. Thank you to everybody that sent DMs. Thank you to everybody that, that offered to fundraise, that offered to go above and beyond. And, this whole thing was interesting in better understanding how vulnerable creators are in the YouTube ecosystem in terms of being opened up to basically a guilty until proven innocent system where, even if I were to fight this in court or force their hand to take me to court by, I would still have that 7-day suspension. And that's just wild. Like, that kind of sucks. You know what I mean? But it all worked out. God is good. And I'm thankful for all you guys. I'm thankful for everybody that cares. What really needs to happen is I feel like there needs to be some sort of like union for creators to have like access to social media attorneys in a situation like this. But it didn't have to come to that. But I say all that to say, if you guys do want to go the extra mile, help us create a cushion, Patreon is the best way to do that. It's $10 a month. I think we're going to open up a $5 tier, do a promo, get you into the Zoom calls, all kinds of other stuff. It's the best way to directly support what we're doing. But I will be tomorrow reacting to the elephant room discussion, being very intentional to create this is fair use, precursor to make sure I had a ton of commentary, and hopefully we don't get flack for that. But that's a totally different copyright owner and a totally different community, and that has nothing to do with Elevation. But there's some really good stuff in there that I want to unpack. Stuff that in hindsight that I watched back, there was things that I actually, in the moment, really agreed with Stephen Furtick on, and so I'm excited to unpack some of that with you guys. That was a very golden era, if there is such a thing, of like technology exploding and online church exploding that did go on to influence where I am now, if I'm honest with you guys, right? So that's the update, guys. That's the update. I'm super excited, and I'm happy. Thank you for your prayers. Peace.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Yo, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Be sure to check out the links in the description for some free resources, including a free How to Study the Bible course and a free course I put together with my Christian therapist, Dr. Rudy, called Master My Habits. It's at mastermyhabits.com, and it's all about freedom-forming habits to help you get breakthrough in your addiction, to help you get breakthrough in your sin pattern, and to walk in that freedom that is available to us in Christ Jesus. Check out some of these other videos from me and YouTube recommended to you, all right?